All right, everybody, welcome back to the Jordan Report. I'm your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, guys, let's go down to the Georgia recount and see how things are going. The lady before you is Susan Voyles. She was a poll manager during the election night. She's already signed an affidavit to the fraud that she's seen, and this is her testimony.
My name is Susie Voyles. I live in Fulton County, Georgia. I have been a longtime poll manager, and I was tasked to come to the Georgia World Congress Center, Building B, and be an auditor for the absentee ballot from the November 3rd election. When we received our first box, it was taped shut with clear packing tape. It had the Secretary of State's seal on the top, but having been a poll manager for a long time, there were no signatures on that seal, which there should be. Once a box or a manila envelope is sealed, it should have the sealer's signature and an additional signature. It should not be anything that's ever done by anyone alone. That seemed rather strange to me, that the seal was there, but there were no signatures on this seal indicating who had closed the box and what was the chain of custody on this box? Who had handled this box prior to my handling it? So when we opened the box and put the seal aside, we noticed that there were 700 to 800 absentee ballots inside. They were segregated into batches of ballots, and they had most of them had 100, one had 110 in the batch. Most of the batches showed a great deal of wear. We came to one batch, however, that it really was not only surprising, but it was so stark. Having done this for years, I'm very familiar with how the ballots work, how they fold, how they feel, their general appearance. These ballots appeared as though the first one had been bubbled in by a person, but all of them were replicated exactly the same. We were further alarmed that in our count, 98% of these ballots were for Joseph R. Biden. 2 were for Donald J. Trump, and 1 was for Joe Jorgensen. That's a very odd count. My coworker agreed with me that there was something very unusual about these ballots. And so what we did was we started looking through that entire stack of 98 for one candidate. That seemed very odd to me. Every single ballot was absolutely identical, and they appeared to be printed rather than with some sort of marking device. And the fact that, there was a little eclipse in an oval that was void in exactly the same spot in all these ballots. We didn't see any differentiation, even when it came to the Senate candidates, or when it came to some of the referendums on the back. Everything was precisely the same. I've never seen that before in 20 years. Besides that, it just really disturbed me that these ballots did not appear to have been ever used as an absentee ballot. When you request an absentee ballot, that ballot comes to you in the mail. You don't receive that ballot as a long sheet of white paper with candidates on each side. That ballot has already been through the franking process, the stamping process at a post office. And so it has already been folded once. And regardless of your delivery method, whether you choose the U.S. Post Office or whether you chose one of those boxes that were outside of libraries or other polling places, you had to fold that, and there would have been more severe or deeper creases in these ballots, and they weren't there. But there was use to the other ballots. There was differentiation in the bubbling in of the candidates in those ballots. And this particular batch of this nearly 800 ballots, it was a stark contrast to the other ballots that were in there. There was a difference in how they were bubbled, and the fact that 98% of them were bubbled for Joseph R. Biden, that was alarming to us. This is a job that deals with the integrity of each person's vote, and I felt like this was compromised. With a box that was so hastily put together, that was taped, and the secretary's seal was slapped on there, but nobody had signed it, and it wasn't even completely slapped on. I can see where somebody might have opened this box. We were just two auditors at one table. This was just the first box that we were given. And it was rather alarming to me that if this happened in our one box, how many other boxes was this happening to? How many other ballot boxes was this occurring? Where else was this happening? I don't think our box was unique. And this could change things on a massive scale. That is just my opinion. I don't know that as a fact, but I do know what I saw in how hastily this box was put together, how alike all the used ballots were, and how pristine and unalike and uniform this was in its candidate choice, and how every little bubble was precisely alike.
Okay, guys, that's what's going on in Georgia. It's funny, too, because all the workers are given the same story.